Welcome to the review of the Mi 11 Lite. 2021 till now has been pretty solid for the 20,000 to 25,000 price category when it comes to smartphones, because we got smartphones concentrating on different specialities. And in this range, the newer edition is the Mi 11 Lite by Xiaomi. Well, in India there are two variants available for the Mi 11 Lite, and this is the pricing of the variants. And here the variant we are testing is the 24,000 Indian rupees one, which has 8GB RAM and 128GB storage. Now with this phone, the main standout part is its design. In this price range, this phone is basically one of the best looking phones. It's actually the slimmest one available right now, and also the weight isn't that much. Well, the 6.81mm thickness is an awesome thing, and also since the weight is just 157 grams, well, using this phone for an extended period of time is not an issue. But here, other than these dimensions, the rest is actually on the bigger side, especially the width. The phone is really wide, and also given the fact that the sides have a flatter approach, does make this phone a two-handed one. Still, I did like the in-hand feel, and also the phone is grippy. Now this gripping factor might well depend on the color you're gonna get. I have the vinyl black color, and with this one the issue is that the finish of this back glass is the glossy mirror type, and hence this is a fingerprint and smudge magnet. If you are using this phone caseless, well then you will have a hard time keeping this back glass clean looking. And if you are a person who is not fond of fingerprints and smudges, well you can go for the matte color options, which are the coral and the blue one. But then with that color options, I'm not sure how slippery they are. Now here using a back glass is adding to the premium feel, but then since the side portion is a not so good quality plastic, that premium feel fades away instantly while you hold the phone. And at present about the durability, well there isn't any gap or flexing issue, but with this Mi 11 Lite, well there was this extra doubt feel of whether the phone will bend with a lot of force. Now in normal usage circumstances, no such issues will arise, but if you intentionally try to do it, well then there are chances that the Mi 11 Lite won't survive. And about the buttons, well they all provide proper tactile feedback, and this power button, it does house the fingerprint scanner, which is actually a good one. The speed of unlock is sufficient and the accuracy level was 100%. And like always, I do prefer this type of scanner over the in-display one. And also by the way, the front glass is Gorilla Glass 5, but as always, I'll recommend to use a tempered glass protector. Now the design of the Mi 11 Lite is a sheer attraction seeker, and it's mainly because of the cleaner approach with a standout camera layout and also the slimness, but here because of the slimmer nature, you do lose the headphone jack. Well, for me it's not a big issue, mainly because I have completely shifted into the wireless audio side, and I feel most of us are in the same train. But then some users still do prefer to use a wired headphone, and for them this might be a disappointment, but here to cover this up, well Xiaomi is offering a headphone jack dongle with the phone. And here the port available for charging and connecting this dongle is USB-C, and you also get an IR blaster, which is a handy thing. So overall in this price range, the design is the standout part of the Mi 11 Lite. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the things are not good. In fact, the display used here is a good spec one. This is a 6.55-inch 10-bit AMOLED Full HD panel, which does have HDR10 support. And here this display also has a higher refresh rate, which is 90Hz, and the touch sampling rate is 240Hz. So these are all great in paper, and while using it, I do like the quality of the panel with just one gripe. Well, it's the cooler nature of this display. Out of the box, the calibration of this panel has this bluish cooler nature which can be tweaked, but still while comparing with Samsung's Galaxy F62's display or even the Note C's display, I did prefer their tone. Now here with the Mi 11 Lite, the bezels are very slim and the hole punch cutout is perfectly done, and also the viewing angles are not bad, and even the peak brightness level is sufficient enough for outdoor usage. And because of all this, the viewing experience is enjoyable, and since the display is a big one, well playing games and consuming media is great. And here to back it, well Xiaomi did use pretty excellent speaker system, especially in this price category. This phone has a dual speaker setup and the quality of sound from it is good, and also the loudness level is more than sufficient to fill a moderately sized room. And about the earpiece, well it's a proper one and Skulls did sound fine. And actually the same is applicable with the user experience. Now while checking the internals, they're not things to hype about, especially while comparing with the Note CE, because here in the Mi 11 Lite, the processor used is the Snapdragon 732G with Adreno 618 GPU, and the RAM, well it can be 6GB or 8GB, which is LPDDR4 RAM, and the 128GB storage available is UFS 2.2 storage. Now this storage can be expanded, but if you opt for that, well then you can use only a single SIM because the SIM tray is the hybrid one. And here the display's refresh rate and the moderate power of the Snapdragon 732G does make the regular user experience smooth. If it's the casual usage pattern, well you won't notice any hiccups or slowdowns with regular apps along with social media ones opening instantly, and they all do work well. And while gaming, well if it's a moderately graphic heavy one, there isn't much frame drops and also the gameplay is lag free. But while gaming, one thing I have noticed is that the phone does get a bit more hot than normal with about 15 plus minutes of continuous gaming. Now it's not a concerning heat generation range because you can pretty much continue your gameplay, but still that's something I've noticed. But then a thing to stress is that while using the phone for normal stuff, the phone does stay cool to touch. So in all these regards, the user experience is good, but here I'm not a fan of MIUI 12 based on Android 11. Well, it's not a bad interface, but still it does feel like a heavy skin, and also Xiaomi needs to stop showing ads in the lock screen, which is a very annoying thing. And that's where OnePlus Nord CE has the big upper hand, because OxygenOS is much more cleaner and lighter, at least for the time being, and also the 750G processor in the Nord CE 5G is a bit more future-proof one. Now I'm not talking about the single band 5G factor of the OnePlus Nord CE's Indian variant, but instead it's about the speed and the overall user experience thing. Well, with the Mi 11 Lite, the omission of 5G is, to be frank, not something you should be concerned about, but instead the only core concerning factor according to me is the long-term software support. There isn't any guarantee how long the Mi 11 Lite will be supported, so that's a thing to focus on if you plan to use the phone for approximately 3 years. And also another area you need to check deep in is with the camera performance in the Mi 11 Lite. This is not a camera-centric phone. In this budget, Redmi's Note 10 Pro Max, Samsung's Galaxy F62 and even OnePlus's Nord CE, well, they all outperform the Mi 11 Lite with photos and videos. There are 3 cameras on the back of the Mi 11 Lite, and here the main sensor is a 64 megapixel f1.79 aperture camera which doesn't have optical image stabilization. Then there is a 5 megapixel macro camera with f2.4 aperture, and the last camera is a 8 megapixel ultra wide angle one which has 119 degree field of view and an aperture of f2.2. Now here the primary camera is a good one only if the lighting scenario is decent or better. In such a condition, photos are sharp with punchy colors and also the dynamic range is fine. I do like the saturated shots in such a scenario, but then while you shift to a situation where the light is dull or even worse, well then even though there is night mode support, the photos look shady and soft. And that's a letdown. Now while recording videos, well you can record 4K video at 30 FPS or even 1080p at 60 FPS is supported, but in both these settings, there isn't any form of stabilization available, so the output is not stable, and also there was focusing issues. Colors look good, but still the overall video outcome is very average. And this average thing is noticeable with shots from the ultra-wide camera. Now with the ultra-wide angle camera too, there is night mode support, but shots in dull lit situations are very bad, and here the only usable shots from this camera is outdoor ones during a bright sunny day. But that said, the macro camera is surprisingly a great one, again in favorable conditions. I love these macro shots from the Mi 11 Lite. And in fact, the 16 megapixel selfie camera, which has an aperture of f2.45, is a neat one. Now there is smoothing happening with both indoor and outdoor selfies, but still they're sharp and has a bit of saturated tone, so overall the selfies look good. And here the videos captured with this front camera is also decent. It's not a vlog level one, but still it's something that you can use for recording memories. So overall the camera situation in the Mi 11 Lite is just average with just a few strong points. But then this is not the worst part of this phone, and for that, I'll pick the battery backup. The battery used in the Mi 11 Lite is a 4250 mAh battery, and for me, while keeping the display refresh rate at 90Hz and the brightness level always in the 50% or above range, the screen on time I was getting was in the 4.5 hour range. And that's kinda like a modest battery backup, because if the usage pattern is slightly on the heavier side, well then you need to charge the phone by 8 PM. But then if you're a bit conservative, the battery will last for a day. And actually the charging side is a supportive part for this battery because the phone does support fast charging, and here the included 33 watt charger and cable does charge the phone from 0 to 100% in approximately 1 hour 10 minutes. And here while charging, the phone again does get a bit hot. Then some of the final stuff with the Mi 11 Lite is that the Bluetooth version is 5.1 and the Wi-Fi version is dual band Wi-Fi, but here there is no NFC even though all the other sensors are present. And about the vibration system, well it's an average one, and hence I prefer to keep the vibration feedback in the off state. And lastly, a key thing to note is about the water resistance rating. Now in the Mi India website, there isn't any official claims, but here some precautions like a gasket usage in the SIM tray is present, and even some sites do claim a IP53 rating, which is similar to the rating we get with the Redmi Note 10 Pro series. Now I'm not sure whether the Mi 11 Lite has such a rating, but I do feel Xiaomi might have taken the steps for at least a splash-proof protection. And I guess that's everything about the Mi 11 Lite. And in this budget, the main reason that you should focus on getting the Mi 11 Lite is basically only for the style. Now the display part is good and the audio output is excellent, and even the performance is fine to give an enjoyable user experience, but then while comparing with the competitor phones does have slightly noticeable upper hand in these stuff and the remaining things. And hence if the design part is not your main priority, for a lesser price, the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is a better option, and for a slightly more price, the OnePlus Nord CE is a phone I do prefer the most. Well, that's all for this video, guys. Hope you liked it. If so, a like is much appreciated. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because you won't miss our future contents. And it also helps our channel a lot. See you again in the next one. Till then, bye.